just in case any of you missed it. Out of all my videos, just in case any of you have missed it. How do we become powerful? How do we self-actualize? How do we become great? What is the science of becoming great? Well, you can read similar sort of stuff in many trains of contemplation. Now, this particular one, it isn't religious, it isn't premised on any faith, even though this person appears to be a God-fearing person, but the principles are about mind, your mind. And so, it says here, habit rules us all. You have formed, perhaps, the habit of thinking of yourself as a common person, as one of a limited ability, or as being more or less a failure. Now, if you take on the general consensus of what the liberalists want you to think like and act like and be, that is exactly that. Limited. And no different to any of the other urchins on the bottom rung of the ladder. That's what they want you to become, and that's what they want you to feel and think about yourselves. Whatever you habitually think yourself to be, that you are, you must form now a greater and better habit. You must form a conception of yourself as being a limitless power, and habitually think that you are that being. It is the habitual, not the periodical, thought that decides your destiny. It will avail you nothing to sit apart for a few moments several times a day to affirm that you are great if during all the balance of the day, while you're about your regular vocation, you think of yourself as not great. No amount of praying or affirmation will make you great if you still habitually regard yourselves as being small. So it's saying here, you can sit down and tell yourself you're great. You can have an affirmation now and again that you tell yourself you're something. Law of attraction, and you can think, oh yeah, you know, this is going to happen. But unless you really take that on board, unless you become that, then you will not be it and you will not manifest it. So it's saying that, sure, you know, a few times a day you think you can do that, and then for the rest of the day you slump back into your regular I'm nothing, I'm limited, and I'm the same as everybody else, and I'm just a dreamer, but I hope that that comes true. It ain't going to come true. Because you are your own truth. Your thoughts are your own truth. The use of prayer and affirmation is to change your habit of thought. Any act, mental or physical, often repeated, becomes a habit. The purpose of mental exercises is to repeat certain thoughts over and over until the thinking of those thoughts become constant and habitual. The thoughts we continually repeat become convictions. What you must do is to repeat the new thought of yourself until it is the only way in which you think of yourself. Habitual thought and not environment or circumstance has made you what you are. Every person has some central idea or thought form of himself, and by this idea he classifies and arranges all his facts and external relationships. You are classifying your facts either according to the idea that you are a great and strong personality, or according to the idea that you are limited, common or weak. If the latter is the case, you must change your central idea. Now, what this person is advocating here is the obverse of what we are being taught, what is being propagated to us, what the propaganda is, that we're all equal, And none of us are any better or any greater than anyone else. And if we do have a modicum of greatness over and above everyone else, then we most certainly cannot say that. We could never utter saying that, because everybody will hate us. It's the proverbial parable of the bucket of crabs. It's there's a bucket of crabs, and if one tries to get out, then all the rest of the crabs are going to be pulling it back down, because they're so bitter, jealous and envious, and so no crabs will ever end up climbing out of the bucket. But if they formed a little bit of a crab ladder, then every single one of them could exit the bucket. You see, so it's jealousy, envy, hate and all those sort of nasty human attributes that keep the cesspool of mediocrity. So, if the latter is the case, you must change your central idea. Get a new mental picture of yourself. Do not try to become great by repeating mere strings of words or superficial formulas, but repeat over and over the thought of your own power and ability until you classify external facts and decide your place everywhere by this idea. In another chapter will be found an illustrative mental exercise and further directions on this point. Now, for those of you that have got a little bit of intelligence, then you'll have no problem at all in discerning what I am actually doing here. A lot of people, they hate to hear that someone is self-proclaimed enlightened. You're not allowed to say it because of the hate and envy and jealousy which it conjures up in the next man. You're not supposed to say you are intelligent or you have a gift in any shape or form, whether it's musical or sporting or anything. No, you can never mention that. You have to be super humble, and you have to let the herd tell you what you are. You have to let the herd bestow accreditation and awards on you when they, in their fickle, disgusting nature, decide that they will allow you that. Because you're so humble and so self-effacing, they'll give it you. But as soon as you stand with a straight back like a real man and proclaim what it is that you are over and above anybody else, then they will want to stone you. So, I fly in the face of those fuckers, and I will never ever succumb to their bullshit and have them reduce me down to their festering level. And so I am following the science of being great, which was written 120 years ago, before any of this liberalist bullshit came about. And that's real intelligence, that's real rational thinking, that's real reasoning. You just do that, and you see, if someone like Trump, he tells the world that whatever he does is the best. He's going to build the best wall, he'll build the best hotels, he'll be the best president, and he's got the best politics, and he's got the best team, and this, that and the other. Well, he will keep repeating that, repeating it and repeating it, because he knows the power of words, the power of propaganda, the power of persuasion, the power of reiteration, the power of repeating everywhere he goes. He keeps telling people that whatever he does is going to be the best, and in no time at all, at least half of America's believing him. So some of you, in your limited capacity, will think that I am one big ego and I am delusional and I am all different sorts of things. But it's because you are in the Dunning-Kruger realm, whereby you can't see outside of that myopic circle of consciousness, that myopic circle of consciousness. But any of you who are intelligent, you'll see what I'm doing, and you'll see that I am doing something. In every one of my videos I'm actually doing something. I'm not just talking, I'm not just speaking, I'm not just ranting, I'm not just saying, I'm actually doing something, and I'm projecting something, and I'm living something, and I'm conveying something. I'm conveying so many things on so many levels for so many people to perceive. And there's only going to be a very, very few. My therapist, for goodness sake, she doesn't know what she's got. She's got no idea what she's dealing with. And one day I will possess her notes, because that's my right. I will possess every single thing she's written down in her books. And so I will see what she's been thinking and what she's been Googling and what she's been underscoring and circling. And I said to her at the end of our session last week, I said, well, I think that was very, this is after the camera was turned off, I think that was very conducive. I think we're working together now, aren't we? And I said, are you happy with that? And she says, well, I mean, are you happy with that? And I'm like, well, I'm content with how it's going, but for you to deflect that you could possibly be happy is a non-reality. You must seek job satisfaction, because you're here to guide people towards the light. And if the session is conducive to feeling more enlightened about our parts, then you must have satisfaction. And she didn't want to say anything, of course, because she won't say anything about herself, because the entire session is about me. It's about the analysand, or the subject, or the patient, or the client. It's not about them. So her professional capacity, she won't get involved in that. And I said to her, I said, you and I, you know, we're not that different. And she looked like a rabbit staring into a car headlights. I said, I know why people become therapists. And I was putting my rucksack on. I said, and invariably, it stems from trauma. So thank you, and I'll see you next week. And that's how I left it. All therapists have suffered from trauma, people. They've all had issues as children in childhood, and they've all been perplexed as to why the world has treated them in such a way. And this particular therapist is very much a shrinking violet, and I well envisioned that she was in a family whereby there were very, very dominant characters, and maybe she was one of the last born, so the youngest, the last in the lineage, and everybody else in the family had more power than her. And she often was neglected and the brunt of this and the other, and she wasn't first in line for the cookie jar and things like that. Lots of things have gone on, and so then of course she started to investigate that. She wanted to know why. Now, years ago I went I went back to college because I thought I would take a degree in psychology, until I realised that it was a complete and utter crock of shit. And they didn't want psychologists, they just wanted data collators to help them know how to manipulate humanity further. Yes, that's what they were looking for. But in this particular class, there were about 20 students. The main psychology teacher asked everybody individually why they signed up for this course. And the reasons were to know themselves better, because they want a greater insight into humanity and the way the world is, and because they were victims and they want to try to work things out, and all these sort of things. Yeah, people who have been propelled and compelled into thinking at an early age, those sort of people become scientists and therapists and psychologists and psychoanalysts and those sort of things. And lots of people, they have their childhood traumas, which is a catalyst for their line of inquiry. And any of you who have a similar interest and line of inquiry, you'll know that to be true. It isn't just a hobby that you just think is interesting. No, it's because you're looking for the answers. Anyway, that's just a small reading from this book. I'm halfway through, and so doubtless there'll be others when they become poignant and powerful. Jesus' idea of greatness, a view of evolution, serving God, a mental exercise, idealization, the individual point of view, consecration, the social point of view, preparation, the mind of God. The mind of God, people, the source of power, heredity and opportunity. Any person may become great. Well, I'll have to contemplate on that one. Any person could possibly become greater, but what is great? In whose estimation? Whose appraisal? Who's doing the appraisal? And of course, levels of greatness shift from period to period. Warmongers were supposed to be great in the old days. Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Bonaparte. Many people like that were considered to be great. Great at what? Great at killing. Alexander the Great, a great warrior, a great killer. Would we label anybody being great nowadays for knowing how to kill millions of people and being responsible for ordering armies to kill millions of people? Would we say George Bush was great? George Bush the Great? George Bush II, the greatest of the Bushes? No, I don't think we would say that, would we? And so things change, don't they? And so what is in a word? What is in a concept? They're all shapeshifters, people. It's just a vibration which manifests into many, many varying things. At one particular epoch, someone like Alexander would be considered to be great. But at this day and age, he was a warmongering, marauding, murdering thief. Nothing more than a thief with a band of rapists and plunderers. What's great about that? I don't think there's anything too great about it, to be fair.